There are reports that 1 billion people in the world suffer from chronic hunger. Many of these people are in West Africa, where 12 of the 15 countries are classified among the least developed countries in the world. Food security is said to be determined by the ability to grow your own food. Many countries in West Africa are finding it relatively difficult to do this because of a number of human and natural factors. The region was one of the areas expected to be worst affected by the fallout of climate change, and this prediction has come to pass. Production is declining in some countries due to the vagaries of weather. Then there is the human factor with the political crises that have engulfed a number of ECOWAS member states. The ensuing conflict is affecting food production in these countries with ripple effect on the rest of the region. Mali, Côte d'Ivoire, Guinea-Bissau and major agricultural producing regions of Nigeria and Senegal have been volatile, making it difficult for any meaningful farming activity. The insecurity has forestalled any hope for the usual harvest from these major centers of agricultural production. There is speculation that in many of these areas, food will be scarce this year. However, as the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Grts, recently told a conference in Ghana's capital, Accra, you can be food secure without growing your own food as long as you have food available in the market and money in your pocket to buy it. Experts therefore believe that the solution to the growing threat of food insecurity in the region may be found in improving regional trade in food. This can ensure that food is available in markets across the region and at cheaper prices too, if only current obstacles to its free movement can be eliminated.
So food needs to move from surplus to deficit areas. Through regional trade, food moves across borders, making a greater variety of staples available in West Africa's numerous markets.
Historically, this is the way the trade flows have been in the region. Though in a very informal manner, local traders have always traded food across the border, especially grains and livestock. However, as nation-states evolved in the contemporary age, obstacles appeared, and it has now become a lot more difficult for food to easily go across the numerous borders of West Africa. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, intervened with a major protocol on free movement of persons, goods and services to facilitate easier transactions for regional economic growth. One of the primary objectives was to encourage the movement of locally produced agricultural products across the borders. In 1990, the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, ETLS, endorsed by heads of state and governments in the region, was launched. It was in furtherance of the collective desire of the leaders to see regional trade thrive. Specific provisions were integrated into the protocol to allow for free movement of unprocessed food and livestock originating from countries in the region. These items were granted total exemption from import duties and taxes, with no quantitative restriction, subject only to compliance with some basic documentation. The websites of custom agencies across the region promote this protocol and the concessionary provisions, but the implementation has been problematic.
You see that things are not as easy as they thought. You'll be asked, show this, show that, do this, do that. In fact, which is very, very disturbing and very, very inconvenient. So if ECOWAS is really working, we'll feel things must be so easy. You show your ID, free trade, you go in, buy, come in, or whatever you have to send is there to sell because it is free trade. But that is not what we see. A lot of inconveniences at the borders.
Consequently, the impact of the ETLS has not been as profound as anticipated. To some extent, trade in locally produced food has actually grown, but this has been in spite of the ETLS. Simple market forces of demand and supply continue to push producers and entrepreneurs to venture across the front lines with raw food items, but it is not an experience they cherish. This is a market in Accra, Ghana's capital, where women literally scale all hurdles in search of tomatoes brought from across the border in Burkina Faso. These trucks come daily, and everywhere in the market, it is evident that the tomato from Burkina Faso is contributing substantially to meeting the local demand for tomatoes in Accra. This is because they are quite juicy, but the traders who bring these tomatoes do not have juicy stories about what they go through to bring them into Ghana from Burkina Faso. Mrs. Aja Velegda Mamunata runs the group Velegda Group in Burkina Faso with revenues of over 13 billion sefa. She has been into the import and export of food items across the region for 33 years. Enough experience to be regarded as a reference point on discussions on the conduct of trade in the region.
Nous travaillons avec le Kouman. Par exemple, les pommes, tu peux me commander, elle veut qu'on livre.
The biggest problem is the custom gendarmerie police who request for money and don't let my series pass. We send vehicles to Mali, Niger or Senegal or Sierra Leone up to Togo. We pay